Alright, welcome to another epic episode of Catfish the Review. Ralph Jaguar is here. I'm going to critique and review another epic episode of Catfish the TV show. And you all know by now that, Catfish the Review is brought to you by Ralph J Images, the epic, copyrighted brand name that is bringing you the epic web shows all over on YouTube. Yeah, I just got back from the field, but I'm hanging in there, I'm having these past few weeks have been real rough for me, real hard, but I'm not about to give up the fight. I'm going to continue to do the things that I need to do, okay? And I gotta tell you right now, I really appreciate all of the support that I'm getting, because I sure could use it. Now, this episode of Catfish the TV show, that I'm about to review is kind of personal for me. It really hits home for me, because this is a situation that I have been in quite a few times. And it's the story of Nick and Melissa, and this situation reminds me of things that I have been through, with relationships and crap like that. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Alright, Nick and Melissa. There's Max and there's Neve, and he got the email. Yep, this is how they decided to start out the episode. Very nice and very creative, guys. So, the story of Nick and Melissa. Here's the situation. Nick is a very young guy who just turned 18, who have met Melissa online, 6 years ago and fell in love with her, and Melissa seems to be in love with Nick as well. Now, throughout this whole time, they have yet to meet. That's right, they have not met yet. They've only been talking to each other on the phone and talking, online to each other on the internet. Pretty obvious, huh? But the thing is, Nick is about to go to a school in Texas, so that's why he needs Neve and Max's help to meet Melissa in person, before he goes off to Texas, so he can attend that school there. And here is Melissa. This is her Facebook, profile. Melissa currently lives with her boyfriend, Olen. That's right. Melissa has a boyfriend, and she is living with him. It's Olen. Nick says that the relationship is not going too well, though. Oh boy. Yeah, here we go with this again. So basically what Nick is hoping on, well, at least that's what he says, is that since the relationship is not going well, he wants Neve and Max to help him, meet Melissa, so she can choose between Olen and Nick. Now, according to Nick, he says that the relationship is not going too well. In fact, he says that it's not going well at all, because oh man. And so yeah, Nick and Neve and Max are gonna come in here and do their usual, find out if Melissa is who she says she is, and if possible, arrange that meet between Nick and Melissa. Because Nick is hoping to go ahead on and go over there and box Olen out so he can go ahead and get on in there and be with Melissa. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me on this? Ah, jeez. Because like I said, this is a situation that I've been in way too many times. I mean, like I said, this kid, you got Melissa here, she's living with this guy, Olen. She says that, Olen is her boyfriend and that she loves him. And, he's saying all this stuff to Nick. But yeah, but Melissa is also in love with Nick. Oh, man. But the relationship is not going too well, or they're not getting along or whatever. But Nick wants the help of Neve and Max so he can go ahead and try to box this Olen guy out. And oh jeez. I can tell you right now, at this point, Nick is really setting himself up for a heartbreak. Because like I said, I've been in this situation quite a few times. And Nick has seen that the only way he can win Melissa over is by trying to box out Olen so he can get in there and be with Melissa. I'm telling you, Jaguars, Nick is going to be in for a big shock, okay? Yeah, but you know what? The thing is, though, Neve and Max, they'll do it. After 6 years, being online and not meeting in person this whole time, Neve and Max, they're going to do it. They're going to go in there, do their thing, and arrange that meeting between Nick and Melissa. But Nick is going to have to, brace himself, and just be ready for that heartbreak, because I don't see this going too well for Nick. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So, it's time for Neve and Max to investigate this thing. Here's Melissa's, Facebook profile, and check out what is written on her hand. I love kale. So Kale is someone from Melissa's Facebook that's a friend of hers. And on her hand, is written, I love kale. Oh, and by the way, the pictures of Melissa, they're only facial pictures that Nick has of Melissa, okay? And that's all he has, pics of her. But we have yet to see her whole body. Oh, jeez. But at this point, it didn't really concern me whether or not she was who she says she is, she was who she says she is image-wise. But it was just the fact that she's living with another guy. That's what got me. And now Nick wants to go down there and try to box out, Olen so he can get in there. But now it looks to me like we're finding out some other things about, this Melissa chick right here. Who is Kale? On Melissa's Facebook profile, it says that her status, she is in a relationship with Olen. Okay. Yeah, there it is right there. And here is a picture of Olen, full body and stuff. So I guess this is a guy that Nick is competing with. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's the guy that Nick wants to box out and get with Melissa. Okay, alright Jaguars. This is what Neve and Max found. This is a picture of Melissa with her friend Emily. You know, I guess they're laying down, you know, they're close to each other. Whoa. Check this out. Can we say red flag? Melissa's Facebook profile say, oh yeah, definite red flag here, Jaguars. Oh, S-H-I-T. WTF, what is this? Emily and Melissa are kissing? Well, it looks like Melissa forgot to, you know, tell Nick a few things, huh? I mean, okay, it's not a real definite picture and it's hard to tell if they're making lip contact, but I don't know, Melissa might be telling different people different things, because here she is right here kissing a girl. Oh man, we got a girl with some baggage here. Okay, and Neve and Max also found this picture of Melissa. Now, the nose ring and the pierced tongue, you know, that's not what got me, because, you know, this is something we see all the time. But this is a picture of Melissa about a week ago, and it looks here like she's kind of, you know, chubby, you know, over average, you know, and not thin, you know, like her other pictures are showing. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but this is starting to raise some red flags, and that, you know, saying that she's not really being truthful. Okay, and here's a picture of Melissa's whole body. I mean, the picture's not clear here, but I think it's pretty obvious that you know, that Melissa, I think it's pretty obvious that Melissa has a average type body, but she's not, you know, thin the way she appears to be in her other pictures. I mean, the picture that she submitted to Nick. So much for being truthful image-wise. Jeez. Check it out, Jaguars and fans of Catfish, the TV show. Neve and Max are now on the phone with Emily, Melissa's friend, and they're having a very good conversation about Melissa. You know, Emily says that Melissa, you know, is in love with Olen, but she also says that Melissa is not in love with Nick. I mean, Melissa likes Nick, and yeah, she has mentioned, you know, Nick. But from what I heard, you know, from Neve's conversation with Emily, it sounds like Melissa really wants to be with Olen. And by the way, what kind of name is Olen? You know, I mean, I've heard of the name Owen, you know, O-W-E-N, but Olen? Olen, yeah, that's a very rare name. That's a very rare name, Jaguars. But anyway, this conversation that Neve and Max are having with Emily, oh yeah, most definitely a red flag. Because Emily is saying that Melissa really wants to be with Olen, and she's already living with this guy, and they're sleeping in the same bed. So you know what they're doing in that bed, right? Oh, jeez. That's right, because I still can't get over this. Melissa is living with this guy. They're sleeping in the same bed, obviously, and just downright having, hardcore sex. Oh, jeez. And now Nick wants to go over there. Yeah, Nick wants to go over there and try to box out Olen so he can win over Melissa, so he can be with her. Are you kidding me on this? Because me being the guy with experience in this type of effed up situation, I already know how this is gonna go. Do I even need to say it? Jeez. Okay. Oh, by the way, it's about to get interesting right here. Because now Neve and Max are telling Nick what they found out about Melissa. And remember when Emily says that Melissa wants to be with Olen, the one that she's living with? Yeah, because that's what Emily says, But Nick now saying that, Melissa says that Olen is an a-hole to Melissa. Yeah, we're just now finding this out. Because Nick says that Melissa has said that, Olen has been an ass hole to her. You see, at this point, do you see what I'm getting at here, Jaguars? Melissa is saying different things to different people, and we're finding out all this stuff on the internet. Oh, jeez. I don't know. I think this girl might be confused, or maybe she just wants to be with the guy that she's living with. But then about the pictures, I mean, we didn't expect her to be a size 2, but goddamn. The pictures that she submitted to Nick are a whole lot different than the pictures that she has been concealing from all of us. God damn. And guess what, Jaguars and fans of this effing show? Are you surprised? Nick is devastated and pissed off to the effing max. No pun intended, of course. But yeah, I mean, the man is pissed off, and right here, the whole time I see Nick, breaking down like this, I mean, the man is devastated and upset and so many things, having all these things run through his head. I mean, for 6 years, he's been, communicating with this girl, and he thought he knew everything about her, throughout the 6 years that Nick has been talking to Melissa. He fell in love with Melissa. He really wants to be with Melissa, but god damn it, Melissa is living with this Olen guy. I know I keep saying it, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but she's laying in a bed with this other guy, and she's also stringing Nick along. Yeah, and I believe that's what she's doing. I mean, even Max, they didn't mind investigating this thing for Nick. But guys, Jaguars, you gotta understand, and you already know how this situation is going to turn out. I mean, in the immortal words of Jerry Springer, the heart don't need convincing, the heart already knows. And me being in a situation like this personally, now Nick is trying to compete with this Olen guy. I mean, it's just ridiculous, you know. And Melissa is saying that she loves Olen and she wants to be with him. And now, you know, we're finding out all this other stuff because you got one person saying one thing. You know, Emily says that you know, that Melissa wants to be with Olen, you know, trying to work things out with him. And then Nick is saying that Melissa says that, you know, Olen is being an a-hole to Melissa. And then all this other stuff with the pictures, you know, the body shape. It's not what Nick, you know, expected. And then you got Melissa here, you know, kissing other girls on there. God damn it. You know, at this point right here, I'm about ready to tell Nick to just, look, kid, you are setting yourself for a heartbreak. I mean, damn, Nick, you are really being a sucker right now. You know, the thing, in my opinion, I think Nick should just cut his losses. And, you know, we could just stop the taping of this show right here and don't even waste time going down there. Because I have a pretty good feeling about how this SHIT is about to go. Are you kidding me on this? Jeez. I already have a feeling about how this is going to turn out. Because I can tell you, because I really feel for this kid right here. I really feel for him. I mean, I've been there way too many times, Jaguars. And I am not about, you know, Neve and Max. I know they got a job to do, but you know, they want to go ahead and arrange a meeting between Nick and Melissa. But I cannot in good conscience, you know, send this kid off to meet this girl who we know is going to end up choosing this other guy, you know. But Nick is really sure, this is the thing, Jaguars, Nick is really sure that Melissa is going to choose him over Olen. But you know what? I somehow doubt that. So, I mean, you're setting yourself up for a heartbreak here, kid. You really are. Jeez. Okay. So, it looks like we're about to go through with this. Yep, we're about to go through with this BS. Neve has talked to Melissa on the phone and, you know, they arranged a meeting. Nick and Melissa about to meet. Get ready for the heartbreak. Yeah, they're about to meet for the first time in 6 years. Well, 6 years ago they haven't met, so you know. So this is the first meeting, you know, in person. Okay, here she comes, Jaguars. Oh, by the way, this is Melissa's friend's house. Because thing is this, you know, Melissa told Olen about this whole effed up situation. I mean, you know, Melissa told Olen about this situation, you know. Yeah, she told Olen about Nick. You know, and he was not okay with this whole thing, you know, Melissa meeting up with Nick, you know, in person. So they agreed to meet at Melissa's friend's house. God dang it. Love is so hard to find, isn't it? But don't worry, guys. We now know that, you know, it won't be an axe murderer coming out of this door. It will be, you know, a woman eventually. Will the real Melissa please stand up and step right on up? And here she is. Yep, here's the real Melissa meeting Nick in person for the very, very, very first time. Oh yeah. Yeah, she looks different here than in her other pictures. Okay, now that we're here in person and we're meeting, outside of the house like this, we got Melissa here, we got Nick here, we got Max here, we got the film crew here. Oh, and guess what? We also got Neve here too. Good, everybody's here. Here is Melissa's explanation about everything. Melissa says that the reason why she was so hesitant to meet Nick in person is because of the fear of rejection. Oh, so faking your pictures would help the situation. Oh jeez. Yeah, she explained the pic of her kissing Emily. Melissa says that it was staged and that they didn't really make lip contact. So you had to take a closer look at the real pic. Yeah, you have to look real closely at the pictures. Okay, but what about on her Facebook profile when she told Emily that she loves her? She didn't explain that. And then about her pictures, she said that she shot her face outside. She used the lighting and she shot her pictures at a different angle. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me on this? Oh, jeez. And now Melissa explains that Olen broke up with her 2 weeks after she moved in with Olen. Olen is talking to other girls while Melissa was talking to Nick, but Olen and Melissa, they still like each other and they act like a couple towards each other. So they act like a couple. A couple of what? I mean, a couple of what? Tell me. And by the way, look at Nick over here. I mean, you can just judge by his reaction that he's really taken aback by all of this. So, Melissa is just now telling us, she is just now telling Nick that Olen broke up with her 2 weeks after she moved in with Olen. Because, by the way, she has been living with Olen for years, okay? And Nick knew about it. And, and this whole time, Melissa was telling Nick that Olen is her boyfriend and that she's living with him. That was one thing. But just now, she's telling us that Melissa has broken up with... Well, actually, it was Olen that broke up with Melissa 2 weeks after she moved in. Oh, jeez. This is bullshit. Pardon my French here. I mean, this whole thing is effed up, I'm sorry, Jaguars. I'm trying to, control my emotions here. But this is just hitting way too close to home for me. And Melissa is obviously, dragging and leading this, Nick on throughout this whole BS thing. Oh, jeez. Yeah, she's up here leading Nick on. I really think she was. Because she still has feelings for Olen. Because... Yeah, she still has feelings for Olen. She's still with Olen, living with him and sleeping in the same bed with him. And it's pretty obvious what they're doing in bed. I mean, I don't even have to say it. Neve knows. Even Max knows what they're doing in bed. And now, I mean, and it's obviously driving Nick up the freaking wall. Oh, jeez. Man, we came all the way over here. We came all the way from, you know, we came all the way from the other city. Came down here to meet Melissa just for this. Jeez, man. So 24 hours later, you know, Neve and Max, you know, they decide to meet Melissa and Olen at, you know, Olen's house, okay? Yeah, Olen reluctantly agreed, you know, to this. You know, Olen get, okay, yeah, so they're at, you know, Olen's house and they're talking. And Olen gave his explanation about this whole BS. You know, he says that, you know, Olen says that he does love Melissa and she loves him. You know, Olen wants to be with Melissa, but he doesn't want to be in a relationship with Melissa. He just doesn't want that label. Okay? Confusing? I sure as hell am. I mean, Olen, do you want to be with her or not? I mean, are you in a relationship or not? I mean, I thought it was only one way or the other. But you say you don't want that label, the quote-unquote label. And I'm guessing that Olen doesn't like it when Melissa, you know, like looks at other guys or date other guys, but yet Olen is obviously dating other girls and trying to hook up with other girls while, I mean, maybe this might be, you know, friends with benefits. You know, Olen, you know, being the guy, you know, being with Melissa, you know, having friends with benefits. But it looks to me like he's having a lot of benefits because Melissa is living with him and sleeping in his bed. Oh yeah, it must be a lot of benefits here. Yeah, I mean, this is really effed up here, Jaguars. I mean, it should be either one way or the other. I mean, you want to be with her or not, you know. I mean, that's what Olen should decide on, you know. They act like a couple, and that is why Olen did not like the idea of Melissa meeting Nick in person, because he still wants Melissa, but he doesn't want Melissa to, you know, be with other guys, but he doesn't want to be with her himself, you know, because Olen wants to date Melissa and other girls, you know, like what, try to be some player type guy, or oh jeez. I mean, am I the only one that's being confused by this whole damn thing? Because I'm trying to make sense about all this, but I'm just not able to do it, Jaguars. Jeez. So Olen wants to be with Melissa, but he doesn't want to be with her because he doesn't want the quote-unquote label. Oh, you know what? F that. Jeez. I mean, I don't know. Olen broke up with Melissa, or Melissa broke up with... Oh, it's so confusing, Jaguars. I'm just ready to be done with this whole case or story or whatever they want to call this. Good gosh. Okay. Bear in with me, okay? Because we're almost through this. We're almost through this because now it's time for the meeting. It's time for Melissa's big decision. That's right, because she was, I mean, it's the moment we've all been waiting for, right? I mean, throughout this whole effing journey, I mean, it's the reason why Nick came all the way down here, you know, from his city with Neve and Max, because he wanted to try to, quote-unquote, box out, you know, Olen, so he can get, you know, in there with Melissa. I mean, that's what he wanted. But okay, so it's time for Melissa's decision. But then again, hold up, wait a minute. And no, I don't want to rock right now, because I don't feel like doing that. Nick has decided that it would be best to, you know, just for them to be friends. And Melissa is agreeing to that too. Yeah, that would probably be best. I mean, they could have went ahead on and decided that online, but I guess it's a lot better to, go through all this crap and travel from one city to another, spend all that time on a computer. Of course, I spend a lot of time on a computer as well. Yeah, go through all this, going back and forth between, guys, that's what Melissa's doing. Go through all this debating and contemplating, and then finally meeting here in this nice park, sitting on this wooden bench with all these damn flies and mosquitoes and crap, and finally coming to this decision right here, because Nick is gonna go off to that school in Texas, and Melissa is gonna look for a job, but she'll continue to live with Olen, live with him, be with him, sleep with him. Who the F cares? Gee whiz. So that's where we are. Nick and Melissa, they've decided to just be friends. Okay. Very nice. So, 1 month later, Nick went to his automotive school in Texas. Hold up, wait a minute. No, I'm still not going to rock right now. Automotive school in Texas? I don't know. It might be a typo, could be, but when I was, doing the research for this documentary, for this episode, that's what I heard them say. That's what they wrote on the screen. So, but I had no idea there was an automotive, school in Texas. But hey, what do I know? Anyways, Melissa is still living with Olen. We don't know if they're together or not, or maybe they're just having hardcore sex. Yeah, I know that sounds kind of dirty, but hey, we just got to be realistic here, okay? But yeah, Melissa is looking for a job, and so yeah, this could be a happy ending or just a resolution. We came here, they met, we got a resolution to the whole thing, and I guess we can move on. And that's what Nick was looking for, some closure to this whole BS. Yeah, and after all of this, I think it's nice to finally get some closure, don't you think? So Neve and Max, once again, epic job. Alright, Jaguars and fans of Catfish, the TV show. You all are probably shocked by my behavior in this installment of Catfish, the review, but I will have to ask you to forgive me for my behavior, in this installment, because this is really hitting close to home for me. It's personal for me, and it reminded me of the many situations that I have been in, while I myself have been, searching for love, and, it's kind of like a constant thing, having to, compete with another guy, having to box out another guy just to get with that girl. But as I've mentioned before, in this installment, in the immortal words of Jerry Springer, the heart don't need convincing because the heart already knows. And if you have to box out another guy just to get with a girl, then that's only going to be a temporary victory. because pretty soon there'll be another guy that's gonna come along and she'll go with him. I mean, that's what Jerry Springer says, because this situation right here is just, unlike any other episode of Catfish, the TV show. I mean, because Melissa, I mean, you got to understand, the situation here, okay? I mean, because I was just trying to look out for Nick here, Jaguars. I mean, and his emotions and his feelings. I mean, Melissa is living with Olen, and throughout the whole time that she's talking to Nick, she's saying that she loves Olen, she wants to be with Olen, and she's living with Olen, sleeping in the same bed. But yeah, she also has feelings for Nick and Olen, and she wants to decide, who she's gonna pick. And Nick, is convincing himself and not seeing, the fatality of the whole situation, because he wants to go down there, have Neve and Max help him out, go down there and to box out this other guy so he can be with Melissa. Because Nick did fall in love with Melissa, hardcore. And Nick was really convinced that Melissa was D1, for him, because he's about to go to Texas in that school. So he really thought that Melissa was going to choose Nick over Olen. That's what Nick really thought. But as it turned out, Melissa did not choose Nick over Olen. I mean, they weren't even together in the end anyway, because when Nick and Melissa met, that is when Melissa started telling all of us, all this other stuff about, how Olen broke up with Melissa 2 weeks after she moved in, and then Emily was saying this, and then Nick was saying something else, and Melissa's telling different people different things and all that, and it just got confusing. Melissa's confusing. I mean, because to be honest with you, at this point, I don't even think, Melissa even knows what she wants. So she's just got to sort things out, which is good. And that was the resolution that she got to the end. Because you see, the thing is, Jaguars, Melissa didn't choose Nick. You see, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that Melissa was not going to choose Nick. Okay, so there was no surprise to me there. But what was surprising was that when she told everybody that Olen had broke up with her 2 weeks after she moved in, and this whole time we're thinking that Nick is going to go down there and try to box out Olen so he can get in there. But the thing is, they weren't even in a relationship, because the relationship had ended a while ago. I mean, it's just too confusing, And then Neve and Max, they did their research, found out some other stuff, and having that in-depth conversation with Emily. And yeah, it's confusing here, I mean, even I'm having a hard time trying to keep track of all of this. And you can probably tell that from the way that I'm talking and the tone of my voice. But we let it ride out, we got to the end, and like I always said, the truth revealed itself, and the closure came about on its own. It all played out, okay? But, and I was just worried about, Nick's emotions and his feelings, because I did not want to have Nick go all the way over there to where Melissa was just for a heartbreak, because he's having to compete with this other guy, that Melissa's living with, try to box him out just so he can get in there. I mean, it's only going to end up being disastrous, for Nick, And on top of all of that, after going through all that, Nick didn't get the girl anyway. At least not the girl that he expected, because, per the investigation of, Neve and Max, the pictures that Melissa took of herself, tricks done with lighting and angles and all that BS was really something, But now that everything's out, so yeah, we were able to get some kind of closure on this. And Nick, I really feel for him, and Nick is going to continue to, search for love, He's a young guy. I mean, there's a good chance he might find somebody, but then again, he might not. But I really do feel for him. And this episode right here was real personal for me because it reminded me of the many situations that I had been in. Yeah, it's real jacked up, real effed up as well, Jaguars. So I'll go ahead and end it right here. Peace out. Till later.